Right, so today's lesson has two parts. The first part is going to focus on median, and every time we see the word median, we're going to write above it middle. So let's go ahead and practice that right now with this title word. Underline or circle median, and then above it we're going to write middle. And then the second part is going to involve a couple of questions that are straight from SchoolNet to help us practice what this looks like on the EOG. So let's work question one together. It says, here's a table that shows student scores for 10 rounds of a video game. What is the median score? So once again, I'm going to underline median, and anytime I see that word, I'm going to write middle. So in order to find the middle score, I really have to reorder all of these scores from lowest to highest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite each score and then cross them out as I go. So I'm looking at my list for my lowest score, and I see that my lowest score is 120. There's actually two 120, so I'm going to write two of those. And then I see 130. Again, two 130s. So let's go up here just to make sure we don't get confused. Cross off our 130s, cross off our 120s. Okay, then let's go back to our list. And again, we're just going from smallest to largest. I see a 140, a 150, two 160s, a 170, and a 190. So let's make sure we've got everything here. So I see 140 here, cross off my 140, 150, cross off 150, 160, cross off 160, second 160, 170, 190. Okay, so it's 10 rounds. Do we have 10 numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, we do. Now, the middle of 10 means that I'm going to count on 5 numbers on each side and split this data set in half. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, split it in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have an exact middle value. So what I need to do is I need to take 140 and 150 and figure out what number is in between 140 and 150. And in between 140 and 150, I have 145. So go ahead and add 145 to your list. Over here, we're looking for 145. There it is. Okay, number 2. When he sorts the class's scores on the last test, the teacher notices that exactly 12 students scored better than Claire, and exactly 12 students scored worse than Claire. Does this mean that Claire's score on the test is the median? Explain your reasoning. Let's underline median, and then anytime we see the word median, what are we writing? Yes, middle. So this question is kind of interesting because there is no data set, but what I know is that I have Claire in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and write Claire here. And then below Claire, I have 12 lower scores. Then I have Claire's score. And then above Claire, I have 12 higher scores. So this means that if I were to split my data set in the center, I would find Claire's score. Is this the middle or the median? Yes. So down here, we simply want to explain that reasoning. So we're going to say yes. Given a data set of 25 scores, Claire's score would be the median. Okay, number 3, I'm going to do part with you, and then you're going to do part on your own. It says the medians. So when we see the word median, we always want to write what? Yep, middle. So the middle of the following dot plots are 6, 12, 13, and 15, but not in that order. Match each dot plot with its median. Okay, to the left, I want you to write a few steps. Okay, the very first step is to count the dots to see how many numbers are in the data set. Once we've counted the dots, we can divide by 2 to find the middle number. And then we want to count up from the lowest dot to that middle. Right? You are welcome to not write these steps and just look at the board, because this will be up here for when you try this on your own as well. But I'm going to be referencing these steps as I look at each dot plot. Okay, so dot plot number 1. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to count the dots, how many numbers are in our data set. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So off to the side, I'm going to write 10. Now, if I divide 10 by 2, I get 5. So I know that my median needs to be in between my 5th and my 6th dot, because I would have 5 on one side, then I would have my middle, then I would have 5 on the other side. So now we're going to count up from the lowest dot to the middle. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 5th dot. In between, I have my 5th dot here. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm looking for the number that's in between 6 and 6, because both of these dots are on 6. The number in between 6 and 6 is simply 6. There is no space in between. So dot plot number 1, we're going to draw a line to 6. Okay, I'm going to do one more with you. Dot plot number 2. First thing we're going to do is we're going to count the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10. I want to take 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. So when I draw my median line, I want to draw it between the 5th dot and the 6th dot, so that I have 5 on each side. So now we're going to count up and find where that line will be drawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw my line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th and 6th dots, one is at 15 and the other is at 15. In between 15 and 15 is 15. So I'm going to draw my line now from dot plot 2 to 15. Pause the video, try 3 and 4 on your own. All right, let's review. 3 and 4, count our dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once again, I'm looking for the 5th and 6th dot for dot plot number 3. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw my line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my 5th dot is at 11. I'm going to find the median between 11 and 13, my 6th dot. In between 11 and 13, I have what number? 12. So this one should be matched with 12. And let's just make sure we're showing our work for dot plot number 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once again, I'm looking for the 5th and 6th dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Split. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dot 5 is at 13. Dot 6 is at 13. In between 13 and 13, I simply have 13. 4, invent a data set with 5 numbers that has a mean of 10 and a median of 12. So we talked about this word yesterday, mean. Underneath mean, I want you to write average. And then median has been our focus today. Every time we've seen the word median, we've written down middle. So here's what I know. I know that my data set has to have 5 numbers. I know that the middle number needs to be 12. So let's go ahead and write 12. And then I know that I need 2 numbers below 12 and 2 numbers above 12. And I know that the average of these numbers needs to be 10. Right now, I want you to go ahead and pause and see if you can fill these blanks in such a way where we can add these numbers together and divide by 5, and the average is 10. Pause and go ahead and begin. Okay, look up here to review. I think the easiest way to do this is to write an equation. So what I know is that all of these numbers together, the sum of all these numbers, the average, has to be 10. So if I add these numbers up and I divide them by 5, that's going to be 10. So what does that look like as an equation? It looks like 5x divided by 5 equals 10. How do I find the value of x? I have to do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by 5 on this side. I'm going to multiply by 5 on this side. So I know that x has to equal 50. Now x is the sum of all 5 of my numbers. So I know that when I add up my values, no matter what they are, they have to add up to 50. So I'm going to start on this side and go above 12 first. So let's say above 12 I could have 13 and I could have 14. And then below 12 I could have 8. And then let's leave this one blank, because what we need to do is we need to add these numbers up and see what would be left to get us to 50. So 8 plus 12 plus 13 plus 14. Well, it's going to be 27 plus 12, 39 plus 8, 47. What is left to get us to 50? 3. So mine would be 3. Now your data set does not have to look like mine, but here's what it does have to have. You're going to check this. Below 12, you should have 2 numbers that are smaller than 12. Above 12, you should have 2 numbers that are bigger than 12. Your numbers should add up to 50. Go ahead and check yourself now. Let's take a look at 5. 10 6th grade students reported the hours of sleep they get on nights before a school day. Their responses are recorded in the dot plot. Looking at the dot plot, Lynn estimated the mean number of hours of sleep to be 8.5 hours. Underline the word mean, and above mean, you're going to write average. Noah's estimate was 7.5 hours. Diego's estimate was 6.5 hours. Which estimate do you think is best? So I think for this one, it's very useful to draw lines representing each average. So Lynn thought that the average was up here, 8.5. So I'm going to draw a line and label it L. Noah thought that the average was right here, 7.5. Diego thought that the average was right here, 6.5. I want you to pause, think about which of these estimates is the best estimate of an average, and write your response down below. We'll check it when you're done.